Yes, welcome back to Footy and Friends. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Carlton Draft. Butsy, we had a couple of Carlton Drafts the other night.
We did. They were lovely.
They were beautiful.
Good episode. High rating too.
Yes.
Look
Very
out,
high
Vince.
rating.
Don't go on holidays, son.
But Brett Delivio is away. Mickey Barlow's away. And we have an absolute star-studded panel today. It's actually our honour and our pleasure to have the Velvet Sledgehammer, Matty Lloyd, back in the studio, mate. Welcome.
You've opened with Velvet to our Hall of Fame star.
No, but it's set in a
with love.
The Sledgehammer, yes.
Dyl, Butsy, great to be with you. I've enjoyed our chat last time, Dyl, so it's good to do it again.
Well, mate, I can't promise it'll be that good because we've got Butts as it today.
Hang on. Can I intervene here? Was there some beef here? Did he pull out on you on game day, Lloydie? Because I sense he's not often nervous, Lloydie. He's a very confident young man, even though he looks a bit like a crab. And someone said, Lloydie be in 10 minutes, and he had to go to the back room and fluff himself up.
Just 10 minutes just to calm, do some breathing
He's done
exercise.
a sickie on you for Dyl Friends. What happened?
No, that wasn't...
Is this we talking a week or so ago?
Yeah, if you want to.
Has he done it twice? Has he? No. He's a recidivist.
It's fair to know. We were meant to do this a week or so ago, and I know I think we were booked in for 12.
We were
11:03. The manager says it's off.
He's on his way.
He's on his way, and I was meant to go and watch my son play for Victoria.
Oh my God.
And so it's fair to say I wasn't happy, and I said, let the guys know it's too late to notice.
It's too late to notice. And just to clear the air, the air that's I'm melting right now. As you can imagine in my seat.
That's okay.
How do I just...
No, that's
there
all
was
right.
Something happened. There was some miscommunication, and it wasn't passed on.
Support the person, challenge the behaviour.
Mate, there's one person I didn't want to let down, and what came from a good gesture of going, you know what, Lord is a very busy man. I don't want to get him sick. Actually backfired. Yeah. We made up, didn't we?
Good.
We made up.
So obviously, that's okay, mate. We all.
No, thanks, mate.
You got on the phone to Lloyd and said, "I'm terribly sorry."
I was too scared. I sent him a text.
Behind
No,
your
I sent him a
manager.
text.
Surely he didn't do that, did he?
No.
He sent me a message.
Okay. Enough of that.
I went straight to the top.
Very good. We're here now.
Now we are. Mate, how'd you pull up from your big game? Haven't you kicked one?
One. Yeah, very badly I pulled up. So very badly. So just a bit of word of advice for you, Dyl. It's tough. I must admit. So it was a 3.5 hour drive. You do that, into Warrnambool. You do the 2 hour. It's on. You're doing interviews. It's like I was pretty naive going into the game, thinking, hopefully I'll hit a few lace out. In my mind, I'm still 26, but I'm 46, and before I knew it, went for a ruck tap out, and the ruckman just ran straight through me, elbowed me in the throat. As I'm getting up on my feet, this bloke just dead-legged me, corked me right in the quad. So I thought, all right, it's game on here. So I soon realised that the opposition weren't here to enjoy the day with me. It was game on. So it's fair to say I started doing a few sling tackles and a few things after that to try and get a few back.
You were really it was a bit of a white line fever back in the eyes, wasn't it? Like, because they were coming for you.
Yeah, they were, and that's what I thought. And you're proud. You're trying to. And early first quarter, I was calling for it long, like I thought I was back in the day. I could ragdoll a few people and just push them under, but I couldn't jump. I couldn't get off the ground, and I soon realised I was going to start hitting up at the footy. So, but 2 quarters, it was say into the wind, so the ball would get past halfway 3 or 4 times, and then the other 2 quarters you had the wind. So it was good hard country footy, and I'm well past my best, so I didn't do too much, but it was great to be part of a win.
What advice would you give me going into my game? It's up at Tura, so I think it's a great up at the Nest, I think they call it there. We're playing against Man.
Yeah, I'd say play a game this week if you could, just to give you something, because I went in very underdone, underprepared.
I did a 10K at the GC Marathon the other day.
No, but that footy fitness, nothing like it. And I didn't have it, underprepared and was pretty average, to be honest. Got the win, but that sort of was a saving grace.
A win's a good one, though.
Yeah, it was good.
It's a great reminder, because everyone who's 40 still, or plenty of us still feel 25, but footy is a great leveler. Look, you can play shit cricket underdone. If you've got an eye, you'll go, okay. We like our shit cricket, but it's different gravy footy. Yeah. If you haven't been wrestling blokes and falling over and then getting up again and getting kneed in the bum and still having to compete, that doesn't happen in force cricket.
It doesn't. And I because I got the long one, Dyl, like I got the furthest one away, I said to Cam Ruffhead at TLR, I said, can you arrange a driver for us so we don't have to drive ourselves? So it was a 3.5 hour drive back, And then I was starting to, the body was starting to seize up. So as I got out of the car, it was pouring with rain. My whole legs, so quads, hammies, calves, all went on me at the same time.
I'm seriously nervous.
So I've gone flying out of the car, threw the phone out, land in the gutter of rainwater. And then I start yelling at my wife, Lisa, who came saying, grab my toes, grab my toes. And I'm on my front nature strip on my back. And the driver was from Iraq. He was thinking I was having a heart attack. So he's going, what's up? What's going on? What's going on? I said, grab my other leg. I just started yelling at him. So I'm yelling at Lisa. So the whole street would have been thinking, what's going on? But I was in an absolute world of pain.
Was this before the game?
No, on the way home.
This is at about... So I left at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
This was duly at midnight on the way home.
Well, we're looking with it. We're going to make a bit of a weekend.
Too, which wouldn't have...
Drafts,
I mean, it takes away the pain. But as far as cramping...
it didn't
not
help.
good.
We're thinking about getting an actual just an Airbnb down there and having the weekend down with the boys, hire it out and see what Toura's got to offer.
Yeah.
Just back to that point as well earlier about our misdemeanor. It's funny because Ruff... Lloydie and I share a manager in Ruff.
Yes.
Cam Ruff, who's a great... And I think Cam forgot that he was representing me that day as well. Just want to...
Did he give you... How did he...
Oh, not me. He sent a scathing email to Darcy. I said, just jump on the phone, Ruff. I sort of said to Ruff, listen, fuckwit, if you've got a problem with me, call me.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that back to Ruff because he was trying to flex on me. But again, my fault. Hey, I've got to throw Butsy under the bus and he's probably going to welcome this because he did it to me earlier. But I'm not sure if you remember this or you've got PTSD or you tried to block it out of your mind. But he was telling us a story before that put me to sleep about him chewing your ear off on a plane trip one day.
Yes.
And he reckons his missus has never been as embarrassed and disappointed as this moment. She reckons that you were trying to put your headphones in and he was pulling them out, still trying to tell you stories on the plane.
I think he forgot he had his wife there. To be honest, that's how much he just
didn't acknowledge her for an hour and a half.
She was tapping him on the shoulder the whole time.
And I was trying to do some prep for an interstate game. I didn't do one thing because Butsy just chewed. He just kept going.
She
what was he running with? Do you remember any?
I can't remember one of them.
Lloydie, you were very engaged.
No, he was talking about his local footy. You were talking about your playing exploits.
I don't know, 43 state league games, Lloydie. I think for a journo, pound for pound, I think I'm the best.
Yeah, that's what I think he was talking about his football.
Sam McClure would have you covered, I reckon.
Please.
He would have you covered.
Please.
As a footballer?
Yeah, the tradies are a great show, and I think they'd have you covered on the field.
No, they've never got a McGarry vote. JJ Listons.
They can get the wrong numbers sometimes.
Hey?
They can get the wrong
numbers.
numbers.
Into the amateur thirds or something.
That's what it was, wasn't it? Who were you playing for that time?
Old Ivanhoe.
Yeah.
I reckon I might have been flying over to play. In fact, I can't. So right. I think the night before.
You don't have to go into it.
No, because Lloydie got the double whammy because we got seated together at the Hall of Fame. That was over in Adelaide. Back in the Adelaide days, I was very much on the A list. I was on the billboards and things, boys. And so Patrick Keane and the big AFL
of course,
dogs.
Yes.
They get, would you like to come to the Hall of Fame? It's in Adelaide. Of course. And we got sat next to Lloydie and Lisa. And poor old Lloydie stopped it that night. And then on the plane back. But when we're all married here, when your wife looks at you and you've done something, but you don't really know what. And while I was getting the bags, she just gave me the dagger eyes. And I was like, what have I done here? I don't know. Have I passed
Butsy's wife's just looking $1 million as she always does. But
beautiful.
You wouldn't even known what dress she wore that
She
night.
could have been having a heart attack and I wouldn't have known because I was into Lloydie. And you know what she said? You need to be better. She said, that poor man, he was trying to watch movies, listen to things, do his homework, and you didn't come up for air once.
Well, moving on, because there's one other one I want to get to. Now, Adrian Dodoro, did you have a good relationship with him?
Very
the
good
Prince.
relationship.
The Prince. So obviously been at the Dons for a very long time. Last Butsy story, and I hope this doesn't go for too long, but it is a good one. Yeah. And he might have been telling you this that day actually. Whilst he was trying to make his way onto an AFL list, he used to send his tapes to Dodoro. Okay. So he'd get like VHSs,
not just him,
with like the eye of the tiger, over the background. It would have a bit about him and all these slow-mos, everything.
What year are we talking?
The last one went out. We started off in the VHS days.
Then DVDs.
Sort of 2000 was my TAC Cup year. The last drop went out in 06.
So that's 6 years.
24
years before you keep going, Dyl. So at 2000, he was trying to replace me, Hurd, and Lucas.
And he was telling that, basically.
Luck, Butsy, anyway.
So
I
what
kind of
happened?
had my eye on David Hill's spot. Ruck forward.
Basically, Dodoro, one of the game's greats, obviously in this area, and he was keen on chatting with Butts. And what would happen is Butts would send his videos into Dodoro. The next week, Butts would be getting calls from Strathmore, Duda Stars, Keilor. Dodoro was sending those videos and forwarding them straight over to the EDFL clubs.
No, that's very harsh.
What was the
Matthew.
feedback? One paste?
No, probably just not quite good enough. A bit injury prone. I don't know if I was one pace, Lloyd. He was a bit of a high jump champion. Look, I think he did it with love, right? And correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know.
So Adrian, he would get a lot of tapes.
Yeah, you would.
Okay. Yeah. At that time, about 0506, there was some premiership bombers coaching in the EDFL. So we had, I think Johnny Barnes was there.
Yeah. Darren Buick would be there.
Dean Wallace.
Yeah.
And I think Bozza Buick was getting around as well. And I would go, right, I've sort of sent the tape to Adrian 6 weeks ago. He must have it by now. I'd get crickets from Adrian, but I'd get, g'day, mate, Johnny Barnes here. I'm coaching Duda Stars. Adrian's passed on your tape.
So not even to the VFL coaches. It's gone straight from AFL to EDFL.
Yeah, mate, he said, do your
Well,
work here, then come up.
I think
and
we were
come up.
done with the VFL at that stage.
Right.
But I'm a positive guy. I thought he's endorsed me at least. He's not going to pass on the dud ones to the EDFL coaches, Lloydie.
That's amazing. I can't wait to speak to him about that.
Please get some info on us on that, because I want to get him on the pod so bad and ask about it. Lloyd, you've been a busy man too. I think you were flying into. Where'd you go to Adelaide, Tasmania recently as well?
Yeah.
Would you go play a game of cricket over there? Or footy?
Yes, cricket.
Cricket, yes. We've got a mutual friend, JC, and obviously he loves the show, and he loves sending in some messages about you. Did you tell him when you're coming on, and he must?
He loves you.
Yeah.
He loves your podcast. He's a big fan.
No,
so
we actually got to send him some stuff.
Yes. So when I tell him I'm coming in, I know he sends messages, and then all he'll do is send me that Dyl's responded, but won't tell me what his stories are. So
we've
that's
heard
real
that
love affair.
Lordo went out to Tassie. So you were playing cricket?
yes.
He's a very good cricketer.
I know, trust me. I've heard from
Likes
JC.
talking about it.
And I hear him talking about it all the time, to be honest. And he said that you stayed at some mate's joint, didn't get a wink of sleep one night. What happened?
So I hate cats. Just can't stand them. Can't stand them.
I'm not a big cat man either.
And every time I'd look to go to the bathroom, this cat would just come charging in and jump on my bed.
Oh, God.
Then I'd shut the door and just be scratching on the door all night. And so anyway, this was the night before. Just didn't get a wink of sleep. I felt like I was getting a few, rashes and and so anyway, the next day I went out there, and it was actually we bowled first. We got him out for 94. They said, we'll send you in at number 3 just to knock off the runs. I said, no worries. And it was actually, his name's it was a Fremantle. He played footy for Fremantle. And he was just steaming in. Brady Gray, his name was.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just steaming in, big left-hander. And I believe it wouldn't have hit a second set of stumps, but it would come crashing in my pad's first ball. Umpire just triggered the golden duck. So I've played 3 games of cricket in Tassie for 2 ducks and a 1. So I'm not even averaging 1 over there. So they think I'm the biggest bunny of all time.
Paid bunny.
I may could be. But
as the fly-in pro, I didn't know you were on the circuit as a...
the off-season I got a bit more time on my hands, so I do...
Because you're East Bentley, who do you...
I'm Bentley A&A.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So I'll play for them, and they understand that sometimes a better offer comes along, and I'll leave them
fair enough.
to play, but I'm always ready to go.
You just got to know where you stand. You got to have those relationships.
How
where
long
you know
can
where
you
stand.
go with the cricket? I say to my wife, we'll certainly get to 50, and I've got
You're still playing?
Yeah, I love him at Malvern, the Roosters.
He's in the thirds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
No, I was just letting him know.
42.
Yeah, I was just letting him know.
Sub-district. No, but I said, I can see certainly past 50 until the peepers go, and my wife's going, you're not going to be playing at 50, and I'm sure I will. Are you...
Well,
do you reckon you get another 10 years
my wife
out?
hates it, hates cricket, because you're gone all day. And all that. And I told her I've always wanted to make 100.
Yep.
So about 6 years ago, that's that story where Stewie Lowe was dropping him that short.
Yeah, put him over the fence.
I got the 100 that day. So she said, is this it? And I said, now I want to go when I win a premiership. And 2 years ago, we won a flag. And now I'm saying I want to play with my son.
Yeah,
That'd be
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
That
so
would be
he's,
cool.
he's,
LeBron,
he's 12
LeBron
soon.
type things.
So yeah, it's a sport
He'll be ready in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, he's 11, so he's just about ready to go. So
Now, he just, mate, you said it before, and obviously I nearly fucked the whole day for the family. But he made the under 15s.
under 12s.
Under 12s,
Under 12s. So
yeah,
that's
that
the
would make
first
sense,
step
yeah.
of it. Yeah,
That's unbelievable though, man.
Yeah,
Like,
started
how good's that?
800 and 23 got selected. So It's his dream, like it was all of ours.
But he likes his cricket more, doesn't he?
Nah, footy's his thing.
Okay.
Yeah, footy's his thing. So they play in Geelong, August 5 to August 10.
Any
What
other
sort of player?
father-sons?
Remember Brad Pearce, who played alongside
Carlton.
Six Kerner in the
Yep.
95?
Yep.
David Roden's son
Oh, wow.
is in there as well. So, yeah, they're the three.
What sort of player's the lad?
He's half forward midfielder.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's sort of still growing into himself. So
Yeah.
Has he got the hands? He's got the sticky
yeah, he's
mitts?
good skills, reads it well. So anyway, a bit of pressure. It's hard on him.
Of course.
Yeah.
I got a
I tried to live
coaching-
up to that. No.
Yeah,
No,
for
no,
you,
it's a
yeah.
quick
You're
one.
not coaching his
No,
son.
no.
You're
I
not
got a coaching
his-
tip about Lloydie from a mutual friend, Merv Kane.
Yes.
Was one of the. We were kind of family friends, and when I was coming through, I'd always go to Merv for a little bit of extra stuff on the side. And he gave me a tip about you and said, as far as a young Lloyd, to help with your marking, he said you never take your eyes off the footy. Even when you're lying on the G, you'd still be looking like this, like a big bloody fish looking at the ball. I reckon it's a great tip. Is that true that you... And I've watched your
Just
tapes.
to be clear, so you're saying the tip is to keep the eyes on the ball.
Yeah,
Is
but
that the clip?
it's one of those things that sounds easy. Yeah, keep your eyes on the ball, but people don't actually do it. You did it even after you've taken the mark. You were still looking at the ball, like you accentuated it.
Well, I didn't feel... I worried about my pace a fair bit. So having balls just smashed at me, had to do. I don't allow my son to mark on the chest. I say anyone can mark on the chest. So when we're playing in the backyard, if he takes a chest mark, it's play on. The only way we stop is... So it's all the things that Sheeds taught me, I'm sort of trying to pass down. Still coach at Haileybury College as well, and hate seeing kids take chest marks.
Well, you got little Ivan Waterman at the moment?
Waterman, yeah.
Yeah, because he takes them
tough
out.
and
He's
strong.
taken them out.
Yeah,
He's playing
absolutely.
literally like Josh Kennedy was as well.
Can I just give a drive-by to JC too, by the way? I met him through the cricket club, or a lot of my great mates through the cricket club. This one day, it was 37 degrees. JC and I opened the bowling. 2 overs in, he just puts his hand up and says, "I'm done." And he said, "I just can't go. It's too hot. It's too hot for me." And we said, "Mate, we're all feeling the heat, mate. Just bowl. Just bowl, will you?" He said, "Oh, no, I had a rough night with the kids as well." So he stood under a tree at fine leg with their legs shut. I bowled 28 overs the whole day down one end, and I'm 10 years older than him. And still, he's never lived it down to this day.
It's almost unforgivable, JC.
Unforgivable, un-Australian.
That's tell your story walking to the
Yeah,
tours,
That would
JC.
be my favourite Lordo story. Is that would be at the end of that year, JC's name would be on that piece of paper that'd be handed to Sheedy saying, "You can get rid of this bloke.
Yeah.
You can let him go."
Yeah.
Going back to sons, and a bit of advice maybe for Butts and I. We've both got young sons. Mine is 14 months old. How old yours?
3.5.
Nearly 3.5. And maybe some advice for Butts on the development, because my son is 14 months and he's still probably tracking a little bit better than Butt, and he looks like he's going to be a handier player than what.
It's a worry when the dad thinks they're better than they are.
What Butts' boy is,
Okay.
even though he's nearly double his age. So just maybe some faith that you can, get there.
I saw your lad's still got a dummy in. So I don't know how he's going here, Lloyd.
I worry
This is a
Butsy's
worry.
son might listen to this, so I'll say that one between you two.
Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe lose the dummy,
Yeah.
and then we'll get sort of... we'll start taking the balls in the hands when the dummy's out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Lordo, who are you liking this year in the AFL?
Well, it's a good year, isn't it? Because you try. My footy tipping, I'm an embarrassment with some of my footy tipping through the week. But I remember when we won it in 2000, we were 4 or 5 games clear at one, because we only lost the one. And I think of Sydney sometimes, and you can be that far ahead. Sometimes every team's coming at you. They're trying to pick you apart. Our last month through the 2000 season, I thought, have we come back to the field? I was really worried. We lost to the Dogs. We had some tight games, and I thought, have we peaked too early? But the first final came along. We won by 20-odd goals. Second final. And I think we were just waiting.
Yeah.
And I think the Swans are still the best in it, but come to the MCG and they have to play Carlton in front of, say, 90,000. And interstate teams never win, Granny. They do, but are in one of the last 6 or 7 they've won against a Melbourne-based side. So I think that's a factor. It's going to be interesting because I don't reckon there's that many other good sides in it at the moment. But it'll be the team that comes from this point on in the next 7 or 8 weeks.
Yeah, I reckon even the next 3 weeks is pretty important. Cats can,
Yeah.
On their weapons.
Yeah.
Still got
I
the
suppose
weapons.
so. And
Just on Sydney, though, their 3 losses have been under 6 points.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
They're very, and I think they've had more scoring shots. That's a Mick Barlow stat he gave us. They should have won those 3 games.
And there was a stat I heard yesterday that I reckon maybe 8 of the last 11 years, the team that wins a premiership wins the last 4 games. So if we have a look, so you win your last 4, then you go pretty much straight through.
Yeah.
So you got to be the best at that period. But I'd have to say, and I do like the Giants. I don't know what's happened to them, but I think they've got a lot of weapons and they've underachieved this year.
Yeah, I was watching that Kingsley press, not the presser, just after the game, and how pumped he was for the boys after that win against the Blues. Like, I know it's at home, and who knows, but the Giants do pride themselves on travelling well and getting there, but they just don't get enough reps on the G.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that when it gets...
And the other factor, I think, is who gets second. So we've got the Swans who will finish top.
Yeah.
And I reckon there's 6 sides fighting for second, and 3 of them are interstaters and 3 of them are Melbourne-based. So if you can win, say Fremantle can get second, they get Perth to a grand final, or Carlton gets second. But if you don't, you're just travelling, and you've got to take on Brisbane and teams like that. So
what about the Dons? Like, I know it's you've got a lot of love. They're your club. Like, they've last week, if you asked me, I was like, they're somewhat flat track bullies. A lot of people are saying that they haven't won a big game, but that game Friday night last week, beating the Pies at the G, like, that's a pretty big one.
Yeah, I think for the first time ever, like, they've got Brad Scott. He's even when they've been winning, he's like, guys, don't forget what happened this time last year. We were there and we fell away. So he's got the foot on the throat all the time. Zach Merritt is as hard and uncompromising. So I think he went out of the leadership group a number of years ago because they couldn't handle what Zach Merritt is, where he demands, he wants everyone to be like him, but I made the point that not every AFL footballer is a professional like him. So I think they've got 2 fantastic leaders, and then Durham and Caldwell, guys like that have now jumped off the back. I think the drought, should be broken of that winning final, which has been 20 years this year.
You've been quite hard on them. You have to be. And I think you win a lot of respect for this in a media sense, that you've never been too matey with anyone. And you've always been really hard but fair. And the Bombers, you haven't missed them over the journey. Has that kept you up a bit, or have you ever felt a touch awkward when you have to go back there?
Well, I did a year. So often people get themselves in trouble who are with a club, but also are trying to do the media. And I tried it for 1 year, and I worked with Joe Danaher.
Yep.
And there was a period where they weren't going too well, and I said some really strong things about the coaching and some players. And I walked in to work with Joe, and I believe 3 to 4 people, when I said hi, didn't say hi back to me. And I couldn't wait for the season to end, because I thought, really, I'm all in on the media. Why did I do this for? Why? And so I was that happy when the season ended to go back to just playing my role in the media. So that's why I would never take another opportunity again, which I've knocked back plenty, because it's either one or the other, in my opinion. And I have been hard on them, but also I have people talk to me. And through the last 5-6 years, I've had players say, we are a mess. We don't know what our game plan is. We don't trust what the game plan is. So when they're telling me that, I'm happy to go hard, because I wanted change. And I wanted Dave Barham to come in and put the broom through the club. So that's why I was half doing it, because I wanted to see change and put a bit of pressure on for them to get somewhere, because it's been so long.
On the coaching, would you? I remember hearing a great story, and I regret a bit of this stuff now when you're done, and especially when you didn't quite make it. But Stephen King was captain of Geelong, and he would still go and pay Crackers Keenan out of his own pocket, meet him in a park in Aberfeldy, and do ruck craft once a week. Nothing to do with the club program. It was his relationship. He reckoned Crackers knew his game better than anyone, and he did that right the way through. If a player called you up and said, Lloydie, my goal kicking's stuffed, I've lost my confidence, would you go meet him in the park, whether it be for a fee or not? Yeah,
it's a good point you make. I think Craig Kelly was big on this, and he would put it on players. Say, at the moment, you're a $500,000 player. If you could kick straight, you're $1 million player. Any danger of you, I've heard him say it to guys in the office, any danger of you investing $20,000 of your own money or whatever the figure is, and to try, and you might gain $500,000 if you are a 3 goals 1 instead of a 1 goal 3, and you're a 60-goal player instead of a 20-goal player. Any danger? But players just want the club to serve it all up to them, and that's often the difference between, I think, the greats. I love Lachie Neale, because I heard him a few years back say, I need to kick more goals and I need more metres gained. Until I do that, I'm not the complete player. And then you see him kick 3 on the weekend. And I say that's why they're greats, because they are willing to do those things. where there's too many blokes who are just happy to be on AFL lists.
If the NFL guys do it, Brady does it, LeBron did it. They don't just take the program.
Yeah.
There's I think about this a lot on the other sense as well, actually, in the game that I'm in now.
Yes.
I say to players, you're on $1 million or you're on 600,000, whatever you're on. Get a kid to follow you around, film everything you fucking do, build your community, build your social following. That'll be a business once you leave footy. But they go, that's a big investment, $80,000. For these guys, you're on $1 million, mate. Pay someone 80 and build your brand, build your business where you are. Like, I love what Petrarca's doing. It's just the other side of, I suppose, yes, be good at footy, but also there's this side of like where fans want to see it. You want to get paid for stuff. Well, you can actually do this while you're playing footy as well.
Yeah, probably the best thing that happened to me was I had a bad situation. I ripped my hamstring off the bone at 28, and it hit me then. Then I've got one more contract left. What am I going to do? And so I went to the AFL Players Association, and they said, hey, if you put money into, what do you want to do? I said, I just saw Luke Darcy as a player commentating on games. Yeah. I said, that's what I'd love to do, but I've been so poor at it, and I've gone on the footy show and I've refused to say anything. I'm coming from that far back. And they said, well, you've got a year, so whatever you're willing to put in, we'll match it for you. So
that's a good effort.
Yeah.
PA are incredible.
So it was really good. So and through that process of, I said, all right, I'll spend the year trying to improve myself in that area of hopefully getting a job out of footy. So it was Anthony Hudson and Andy Marr and everyone through Channel 10, plus so many other people that they had me meet. And Andy Marr,
Dave
Barham was, and through those guys, the moment I retired from footy, it was Hutto who said to Dave Barham, let's give him an opportunity. And so Hutto was at SEN, Andy Marr was, so they got me to SEN, and then Channel 10 gave me a chance all through spending that year. Trying to improve yourself.
There's a really good book. I know we're going very much off topic here. It's called Die with Zero. It talks about the relationship we have with finances and investments. And the first part talks about, we are brought up to invest in homes and invest in stocks and invest in businesses. But what we don't do enough is invest in ourselves. Yeah. And you might put $100,000 of trying to buy a house, but what you actually can do as well is put $100,000 investing into your future, which will then make you a better person to then buy a house bigger than that. So there's different ways of investing in ourselves, which obviously the best players do.
Yeah, and you're doing a bit of it here. I mean, Charlie Comben and Sam Draper, and I know Drapes ran into a bit of trouble, and he wasn't missed, but to see a kid like Charlie, who, when he first came in to start the 200 Plus podcast, his confidence was at his bootlaces. He was worried the leg wouldn't stand up. He'd been in rehab for a year and a half. He thought the coach didn't think he was resilient enough. But then he came in to start doing the podcast, and a little bit like you, he goes, I really like this. He'd bring his diary in. I said, look, don't just give us the boring bullshit that you give to the news. If there's something funny around the club that's not going to hurt the club, write it in your diary. And then he started coming with all these ideas and his marker pen and segments. And now, a year on, he's playing great footy, but he bowls into the podcast. And I think, I don't know if he says it to you, he has said it to me, that he's really thankful because it stopped him he was getting a bit depressed, I think. So whatever you can do to be on a list that's going to help your footy, it's a bit like when you started, did you do a couple of days work a week?
Yes. Yeah. Well, back when I started, it was actually part-time. So I spent my first, so my parents were like, until I finished year 12, my first season was doing year 12, didn't go too well that year. And my parents said, until you establish yourself in the senior team, you must work. Because who knows how long this is going to last for. So Ricky Nixon was the manager at the time, and Chicken was, and so he got me a job at Foxtel, and I just worked in accounts, at Foxtel, and I worked from 9 till 3:30, and training would start at 4:30. So James Hird would come along and pick me up from Man Alexander Road in Moonee Ponds, and take me. And
I know that Foxtel. That was opposite the little pub on the corner there, near the racetrack.
Yeah, near the racetrack there. So I'd worked there for 2 or 3 years, and then started to establish myself. And I said to Mum, I'm starting to get offered some opportunities. I can't be working for $20 an hour. I'm missing out on too many good opportunities. So she said, all right, I think you've made your way there now.
Because Clarkson still believes that should be the way.
I don't think,
18 to 21, it's just said, I don't think they should be on the full program. You don't need 10 massages when you're 19 running around in the VFL in case you get spat out.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Hey, boys, let's move on to the footy this weekend preview. Friday night, big game. Collingwood versus Geelong, 7:40 MCG. Who do you think wins this one?
I'll say Geelong. I think Collingwood have too many injuries. And
no forwards.
No forwards, even no back. I think there's some guys playing in their back line that aren't quite up to
Would you move more forward?
I don't think he wants to play there, and I think their backline would be even worse without him there. So all about the hunger. Craig McRae spoke during the week, and he said, I'm watching some things, and I'm seeing some things. So I think they've had it out this week. So it's all on the line for Collingwood this week, but I think Geelong are going better.
Okay, Butsy, who do you think?
I think Geelong, but as a Geelong supporter, I always worry about Collingwood. They tend to be close games, and their backs are against the wall. I reckon we've seen the teeth come out in Craig McRae this week, and if they respond, there could be trouble.
Yeah, there's a little bit about Collingwood. I don't mind this, but you know that Geelong thing where they go, we don't matter how it goes. I go, yeah, well, speak to me after you lost a few fucking games, and then we'll see if you're smiling at training.
Ooh, it's very old school.
Yeah.
So, I just think it's true. Like, we spoke to Jez the other day, and Geelong, they always say, we don't care. It's like, well, you do when you lose 6 in a row.
Yeah, Chris tries to tell you there's no ladder.
It's a bit different.
Well, you do look at the ladder if you come
I'm
in.
telling you what, you know what? You do look at the ladder. I think Geelong win that one as well. Saturday, Hawks versus Fremantle. I can't believe what Freo have done in the last few weeks. It's sort of rattling me. But 1:45, that's at in Tassie. Who wins this? This is actually a pretty good game.
Yeah, a danger game for Freo in Tassie where Hawthorn play well. So tempted to tip the Hawks in this one.
After a big loss too against Geelong.
Do they still play well down there? It's one of those stats that because they did in the Kennett era, we always think they did. But I'm with you. I think they play it better than anyone else.
If Freo
down there for the Freo
may
boys.
go again and win well, and we go fine. So I'm probably not giving them the credit they deserve. But if they beat Hawthorn down there, they're the real deal. But I may tip Hawthorn in this one.
I think Freo for me.
I'm with Lloydie. I reckon Hawthorn's body of work, other than last week, deserves a bit of respect.
Yep.
Sydney North. North obviously off their big win. Worst timing. I think Callum Mills is back for the Swans and maybe someone else. They lose Heaney.
Yeah.
As he gets off.
Yeah, I think it's just great for the comp that North are back playing good footy and consistent footy. So they Sydney will win, but it might be closer than would have been 5 or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, if they get within 5 goals, it shows their your boy LDU. He's just been amazing. They are really exciting, and I reckon if this was 10 weeks ago, you'd be thinking get within 10 goals. Yeah. Now I think the par for them is 5.
Yeah,
I said to Mick the other day, and I think that sometimes when you're in a footy club, Nick Butler is obviously head of development there at North, and I think sometimes you're in it, you don't really realise what's happening. It's an outside perspective they can actually tell you, but I feel like North has actually made themselves a little bit of a destination club now. Maybe not destination, but more like players who go, I'll buy into that. They're showing a bit. They've got good players there around it. McKercher, Sheasel, Chom, obviously doing good things.
Hope.
There's hope. Who would you be targeting on in anyone in the AFL to come down and help Sublaki play some good footy up forward? Is there any key forwards that you'd be going for? I know off the top it's tough.
That are gettable.
I think anyone's gettable these
that's
days.
probably true.
I don't think that contracts matter.
Yeah, they want to be 24, 25 years of age. So I'm talking like it'd be the Kings age bracket. Oscar Allen.
Yep.
That
Cadman?
sort of, he's a captain. Yeah, Cadman, but he's #1 draft pick. So it just depends what they're willing to give up. Or, I made a point on a show. There's some good high-end talent. I think they need to go early in the draft. The Giants, Cadman wasn't the best player in the draft, but they said we need someone of that size. I think North have got that many midfielders. They should go. There's a couple of key forwards I like.
Trade back a bit.
They should, potentially, drop, exchange pick 2 or 3 for a couple of picks, and they can get a key forward and a midfielder with that.
Are you still chips in on Max King? Do you think with the luck with his body, he can be the champion player everyone hopes he can be? Because he's probably been he's certainly been a rung under.
Yeah, like people think I'm biased, but when you see them do what they do, and some guys don't transition that from junior school footy or APS footy to AFL football, but I still think his body lets him down a bit, but I still think he'll have some massive years of AFL football. Yep, so
is there
I'll
a
name
little
chips in.
nasty streak there that we haven't quite seen?
There is.
If so, does it need to come out a bit?
There is, and he's got to stop slumping his shoulders and all that sort of thing. So I've seen it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's there.
Dogs v Blues. That's at Marvel. Again, big game for Dogs and the Blues, really. Blues are in some...
Blues should belt them.
They should.
I think the Dogs are vulnerable through their backs. They've got no Liam Jones, no O'Donnell versus Kerno and Mackay, where Georgiades kicked 5 last week. And then... the midfield. I think Carlton's midfield should get a hold of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, at Marvel too.
Yeah.
This is a weird one, right? But just let's just pretend things could happen. I said this on the other day on our other Footy Friends episode. I would love to see one day we get to the stage where obviously Simpson's finished up at West Coast. He thinks in the box. He reads the Herald Sun. Doesn't think for any ideas. Doesn't think outside the box. He's not an innovator like myself.
I'm not a box man.
Would you ever see a place where you go, Luke Beveridge is a good coach, right? It might not be working really well at the moment, the Dogs. Adam Simpson's a good coach. He's a premiership coach at West Coast. Wasn't working there. Two CEOs get together and go, you know what? Let's trade our coaches. Would you see that ever happen?
Well, it hasn't happened I think it's happened a couple of
times.
In the
90s.
Or the Walls.
Walls, yeah. And I think Parkin and Walls, could have happened something like that
That's
too.
Fitzroy in the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Carlton,
Fitzroy Carlton. I doubt it. I doubt it.
Would you be welcome to it? Like if that happened, say, would you be like, fuck, that's actually all right?
It would just need to be that, okay, we're done with that. I think Simpson, the players have had enough.
Yeah.
Maybe the Dogs have had Beveridge, the Dogs players have had enough.
That's a hypothetical. Yeah.
So, if they're the best applicant, well, there's no reason
means you're
why
not doing a process.
That's what I mean.
Nowadays, back in the day when your dad was playing, there was no process. It was get as much coin as you can and just go and buy the best bloke.
Yeah.
That's what used to happen. But now there's, well, the Alistair Clarkson was probably 10th in line for Hawthorn. Everyone wanted Rocket E.
Right. And the argument to that is also that do you go, who's the last second-time coach that's won a flag?
Yeah.
It's normally the guys who are having their first crack at it.
They get that.
Who win the flag, they get new ideas, fresh ideas.
It's cool as well with West Coast. You look at John Longmire, who's obviously at the Swans, who I think's one of the most incredible people, but he doesn't get the credit he really deserves for what he's been able to do for a sustained amount of time. Dean Cox obviously working under him, returning to West Coast. Then there's obviously Ash Hansen as well, Western Bulldogs, Blues, who could end up getting back to West Coast too. So
what about Bucks?
Who knows?
If Pikey rates Cox, surely he gets a job because they've worked
Cox
together for years at the Sydney Swans.
And then there could be someone was saying this too. I don't know who it was, but Chad Warner as well. Relationship with Dean Cox, maybe comes over with him. Who knows? We're sorting some shit out tonight, boys.
It's a real McClure sort of
Yes, it is. Adelaide St Kilda, Adelaide Oval. A bit of a nothing game, really. But
50-50 game. But because it's at home, I'd go the Crows.
Yeah, it'd be a snore fest, that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go St Kilda just because they pipped the Swans last week. Melbourne Essendon.
No Max Gawn. So I think Sammy Draper.
He was good last week.
He was very good, as the whole team was. So I think the Bombers have gone past Melbourne and should win it.
Do you want to see Draper one out for the rest of the year? I think Goldstein's been great. I love him because I do the podcast with him and you feel really invested. He is so much better when he's one out. Yeah. I think he just makes the midfielders, he lifts their energy because he follows up and he always gets 7 touches and has minimal impact when he plays half a game. For some reason, he thrives on the work. Yeah,
I reckon all ruckmen are. I don't know one ruckman who's like sharing it. And against West Coast, they dropped Goldie or rested him. Caddy came in. They played well. They brought Goldie back. They lost to Geelong. And then they've gone back to Caddy, which I think that's the right setup that they've got right now with just the one ruckman.
Less ruckman, the better for me, as I like to say. I love seeing Dylan Shield back too. And you spoke about Max King earlier about when you see someone as a junior, what they can do, and it's always there. Sheely's had some unfortunate injuries and bits and pieces, but don't forget this kid, and he's not a kid anymore, but he's still got a lot in him that can be a big part heading into September, I think.
Yeah, I'm wrapped for Dylan too. I know it's only one game, but I thought he was finished. I didn't think we'd see him back again, but he's just kept at it and at it. And he's probably been felt like he's let the club down, or people have been disappointed what his output has been, but just keep fronting up and do what he did. It was a brilliant performance.
That's great.
And you hear the male too, really good in the VFL.
Yeah.
Didn't drop his bundle, got round the young kids. That would be a pill to swallow
Absolutely
for him.
Professional, yeah.
Definitely
but,
is.
well done to him.
Can you see this Sardis get in soon too? What's just
it hasn't quite come on at this point.
Yeah. I think he, hopefully, I feel like he's got a good talent. Last day, Sunday, GC versus Port at that's at Gold Coast.
Calling this one on AFL Nation.
Huge game.
It's a big game. I was looking at it going, and then someone said, hang on, mate, this is an 8-pointer. Now a bit up and about for the call, Lloydie.
Well, they don't lose at home. So I tip the Gold Coast because of where it's played.
Especially after Dimmers said, grow the
I love that.
F up.
We've got to grow the fuck up.
Love that.
Yeah, very good. All right, all Gold Coast. Then Richmond versus the Giants at the G. So good to see the Giants getting on the G. I think they get that one done.
What's your thoughts on Tigers are on the bottom, about them staying there? What's your thoughts? You against that? Like, again, you play the kids, you play the list.
I think so. Get number one pick. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and probably Baker, another pick. I think they need to get as many picks as they can to start the climb.
Yeah, I try to think what it would be like as a player to be told we don't care anymore about winning.
You never say that, though. You're never going to say that.
I know, but it creeps in. So, and you've got to think about the fans. Do they want... I know sort of nuffies on the keyboards on Big Footy want to, manipulate picks and stuff, but the people paying
but
to watch you on a Saturday want to see you win.
If the older players that aren't going to be there next year, don't play them. Like, play the ones that are going to play next year.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's different.
That's what I'd be doing.
But if you win, you win. No, if they go up and they upset a couple of sides, let's not have supporters going, oh, you dickheads, you could have got player X next year.
What do you think, Gold Coast, North, where Gold Coast beat them? Sorry, North beat the Gold Coast.
Yeah,
and then
the Reed game.
What would you take that win back to have Harley Reid at North?
I don't think it's going to.
I would. I definitely.
Well,
would.
it's easy to say now, but hey, they're looking okay.
No, they are too, but I think it'd be pretty cool.
They've got enough young gun players. They might get him back in 3 years.
On Richmond, I'm not sure if you guys have spoken about this on Classified or anything else, but has there been... I know Dimmer left and what happened, but it feels like a bit of a fuck up with that list, like what they've done. Has it
Yeah, that's where they'd be disappointed with Damien because Damien went hard to
get them
to have one more go at it to get Hopper and Taranto, and then he's gone. He's gone. He left. So that's where you could be. But I think where they've got to look at it, the CEO's leaving. I'd say, Brendan, thank you, but name a CEO.
Yeah.
Dustin Martin, had enough of the charade. Are you in or you're out?
Yeah.
Don't care who you are and what you've done. I think they've got to take control back. Liam Baker, how long have we given you? So I think that's where they're
sort of like
they still baby Dusty a bit, don't they? And it's okay that he's quiet and shy and he doesn't have to be in the middle. But 20-year-old kids would have sort of given more, made to have more responsibility than Dusty. You don't have to do a press conference before your 300th game.
Yeah, I think that's why we love him as well. It's very easy to forget how good he's been. But I agree. I think it's going to be a big off-season for Richmond to see what they do. And I love big calls. I love when they go, like those old school calls at Hawthorn where they got rid of Lewis and Hodge and Sam Mitchell and sent them to West Coast, Melbourne and Brisbane. I think that there's something in that for other clubs as well. West Coast versus Brisbane to finish up. Does Simpson coach? And who wins?
No way. If I was them, I wouldn't.
I'd coach. I'd see it out.
The hard part is, say you get moved on the Tuesday. I don't know how Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday looks. How can you even walk in and take training?
I think
once go through vision.
But once it's cut, I'm not sure if... Did you ever have a coach sacked when you were playing? Or did you have
Sheeds was moved on, And hard part was for us, there was 7 rounds to go and he was vision of Hutchie. They found vision of him walking in to be interviewed by Melbourne. And we were still in the finals mix and we fell in a heap because that wheels fell off. So just wonder whether it would have been better just put him in a car, drive around if he's willing to do that and the crowd can clap him rather than coaching.
I just think the way the presser went, it looks a bit sour from all of them if they don't finish it off this weekend. Just get it done, be the bigger people and get it going. I think
Brisbane
they win.
West Coast
I think West Coast win if he coaches. The emotional...
No, I'm not sure. I reckon they're a better chance to win if he doesn't.
Yeah.
And you get Schofield in there. It freshens up anyone. I don't care if you're playing in the country seconds. If you're going no good with the coach, just fresh eyes, something different at training on a Thursday. Different rev up before a game. Gets you up.
You never know what emotion does in the games, though. Sometimes it works pro and con.
But the moment text messages, and they didn't deny it, start going around about the coach, it was always going to happen pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a weird one. Okay, cool. Boys, thank you very much. Great to catch up, Lordo. Wrap that we got this one sorted, and apologies again for ruining the family day.
All good. All good.
I didn't want to blame it, but it was Darcy's fault. So
No, enjoyed it. Great to chat. Good seeing you, Bus. Haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, and maybe.
What are you doing after this? You want to get a coffee? Talk about some cricket stuff.
Yeah, he's very busy.
I might sign you up.
Bowl a bit short, not that quick.
Good stuff, boys. Cheers.
Thanks.